Wingardium Leviosa. Leviosa. Which one is it? This is Pastor Andy Duffy, Antioch Church of the Brethren, trying to remember how to do a levitation charm. Hermione is not here to remind me. You know, one of the things about the Harry Potter character Hermione Granger is she knows her stuff. Every time she's in class, she knows the answers before the professor asks the question, almost. She's always got her hand in the air. She always knows exactly how to say Wingardium Leviosa instead of Wingardium Leviosa, right? She knows what she's doing. And you can probably think back to your time in school. There's always the kids who always have their hand in the air and always have the right answer, and everyone else is kind of like, ugh, that kid, right? You know what I'm talking about, Bilbo. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was you, wasn't it? I'm ready to have the answer. Look at how excited he is about having the answer. Exactly. So, what does that look like in terms of this devotion? There's a passage in the prophet Isaiah where Isaiah is called into the throne room of God, the heavenly realm where God resides, and it's glorious and majestic. And God says that he's looking for someone. This is what it says in Isaiah 6, the voice of Isaiah. I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. I've always kind of felt like Isaiah is that overachieving kid in the class who's like, oh, God wants me to do something? All right, I'll do it. Before he even knows what it is, he's just ready. And I know partly that it's just a jealousy because I wish that I was that excited to do what God wants me to do before I might. I don't even know what it is. But there's also kind of a standard there, right? I wonder if part of the point of that story is to show us what kind of excitement we could have about saying yes to God's call. We could decide to say yes before we even know what it is. And that's part of what being a disciple of Jesus is, right? We know broadly speaking what the goal is. The goal is to proclaim and work for this kingdom of which Jesus is Lord. It's a kingdom defined by true self-giving, sacrificial love for our neighbors, for strangers, for our enemies. It's about forgiveness. It's about humility and courage. It's about peace and nonviolence in the ways that we treat others, as well as justice and seeking it in all of the institutions of the world. It's all of these things and the ways that God transforms our lives by putting his spirit of life inside of us. That's what another way of talking about salvation, to be given the life of God. But then sometimes there are more particular ways and things that God calls us to that are particular for each one of you and us and Bilbo. And God might not tell us those things beforehand. But he does ask that we trust and say yes anyway. So maybe, unlike Hermione, we don't know the answers beforehand. But when God says, I need a volunteer, we can put our hands in the air and say, here I am, send me. I don't know what's going on, but I trust you. Think about that, and I'm going to do the same.